Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, we're here to talk about the players. We're at Sawgrass. We got five outright bets for you, and yes, one of them is going to be a little bit of a bomber, a little bit of a flop lag from last week. Hint for you there, see if you can get the spoiler alert. But what are you doing? How you doing? How you feeling right now? I'm feeling good. Let's raise the roof. Let's raise the chair right now. Let's feel ourselves because, we're going to hit you right now. Smack you around. 5 bets. 5 outright bets is what I'm going to do here. We'll kind of talk about the course a little bit. We have a DFS video already out this week, dives into kind of the course breakdown analysis, every single really price range, and kind of glosses over most of the players in this field and goes deep dives into some of them. But I want to talk specifically about 5 guys that I currently have wagers on right here, right now on this here video. So as we get into it, please do, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all those lovely things. If you haven't checked out the DFS video, check it out. Came out earlier in the week. We'll be going live at Wednesday at 1 p.m. Maybe that's happening right now, and you can go over there and get a question. Maybe you can catch the replay of it, whatever it might be. Wednesday, 1 p.m. East Coast time. You can check out all the tools that we have, analysis, a lineup optimizer, projections, rankings, ownership, all those tools that I create each week and put them down on my Patreon down below, which you can sign up for that via monthly or yearly packages. Get a nice little discount for you. The optimizer is something that we've added over these last couple of weeks, and it seems to get the people going. Nice little tool, nice little add-on for you to be having over there, so you can check that out down below. But what do you say? What do we say we get into this? Always drop down into the comments below some of the guys that you're placing some outrights on. If we have any of the same fellas that we can be rooting for together, holding our hands together, stuffing our faces with some nice pasta and meatballs on Sunday, on Pasta Sunday. Once these fellas start to cross that finish line, we high five over the top, spaghetti flying everywhere. The old Italian ladies jumping up and dancing like they're having a damn good time, not knowing what the hell's going on, but we just hit a nice 50-1, or maybe let's call it 100-1 outright bomb. Yeah. Can you envision that? You got to project that shit out there into the world so it comes back at you. So what do you say? Let's do it. Let's start with the first bet. And we're going to be starting at the top of the board so you can see if you're just tuning in for like the first time this week for the players. Dustin Johnson's going to be your favorite. He's been a favorite a lot of the times now. He's no longer like a 6-1 or a 5 or a 7-1 favorite like he's been in some of these events this year. No. In the loaded field, the players itself, where you have 27 of the top 30 players right now in the world, golfers in the world. Brooks Koepka has withdrawn for a knee injury. You have 111 PGA Tour winners in this field of 154 golfers. It is a loaded field. Dustin Johnson is your favorite. Rory's up there. Bryson's up there. Jon Rahm's up there. But I don't want anybody in these teams. You're playing at Sawgrass where there's a lot of water, where there's a lot of hazards. You can say it. You can probably hear it a bunch this week. Guys are just going to dunk in the water. Guys are going to eject themselves from the tournaments on Thursday or Friday and not make the cutting. A lot of strong players. So I'm not really going all the way up to the top of the board. I rarely do, right? I rarely get guys in the teens unless it is somebody falling down a little bit. But what I do have is the next best thing. Not the teens, but right at the 20s. So the guy that I have right now, and we'll scroll up so he's a little bit higher up here, is Mr. Justin Thomas at 20-1 right now. And here's the thing with JT. Now you might be saying, and what I'm looking for here is guys with pretty good irons, really good irons, accurate irons. I'm not worried as much about distance. It's under 7,200 yards. It's a par 72. We need a little bit more accuracy. We need guys who can be dialed in, who can hit fairways, because we don't want you going into the water, right? Off the tee for Bryson last week, like it was an advantage going 370 yards over a motherfucking pond. We don't need that this week, right? We just need you to have some accuracy, right? To be able to be consistent with those irons. And that's something that JT has. But I'm interested in, I guess, right? You see Bryson coming off of a win. Rory's been playing well as of late, and normally, he's won here the last time there's a full event. This event last year got knocked down after a round because of COVID, right? This was the event that got canceled after Hideki went out there and had the first round leader. He actually shot the course record, I believe, last year. You have Dustin Johnson in this, who's just winning nonstop in like his last 10 to 15 events. So I understand why these guys are above Justin Thomas. But yeah, that's pushing him down right now. Justin Thomas 20-1 is where I got him at. You can see on the board right now behind me. You can get him at 20-1 in a lot of different spots. I will call out that the sponsor of this video is Odds Checker. You might be saying the logo up above if you're listening on the YouTube video. And you might be saying, Sal, what is Odds Checker? And that is exactly what's on the screen right now behind me. You can check the odds at every single legal sports betting site right now. They have their own content as well. Mr. Jeff Feinberg on the Pat Mayo Experience. He also does content for them, and I always enjoy seeing that on Twitter. So shout out Mr. Jeff over there, Mr. Feinberg. But yeah, what you get going on right now is just every legal sports book. You're going to be able to compare the odds. You can see right up here. So anytime there's a legal sports book that opens up, bam, it gets put up on the board right here, which is nice to see. See some names that you're probably familiar. DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet365, Fox Bet, PointsBet, all these names. BetMGM, a lot of ones up there right now. And you can just shop the best lines. So if you have the ability to make multiple accounts, don't be betting right now. Don't be betting Justin Thomas at 18-1 right now on FanDuel, but you can get him to 21 on DraftKings. Might not seem like a big difference, but say you're betting $50 on this, it's going to start to make a difference, right? If you're betting $100 on this, Either way, you're leaving literally money on the table, right? It only takes a couple extra seconds to log into your other sports book. So this is a really nice tool that I personally use every single week. I use these odds checkers, these odds comparison tools. I love what Odds Checker has right now. And currently down below in the description, if you want to check it out, Odds Checker is partnered up with the Score betting app right now. And what you can find over there is if you bet a minimum of $1 in the Players Championship and Dustin Johnson just gets one birdie, he just has to get one birdie in the entire event. So hopefully it just doesn't pull out. So you bet $1 and Dustin Johnson gets one birdie, you win $100. You automatically win $100, and then you could obviously win that $1 bet as well, but you automatically are credited $100. It's a promotion that they're doing right now. The max odds are going to be $1, so you can't bet $100 and then just multiply that by 100, right? So it's a promotion. You bet $1, Dustin Johnson just has one birdie. I'm telling you right now, he's going to have at least one birdie in this contest unless he gets hurt before the event starts and he withdraws. Then you end up winning $100. So it's basically free money right now. You can check it out by clicking the link down below and claiming that offer. That'll take you over to Odds Checker. They have a nice little write-up article for more information on that. But it's a cool offer. They're a new sponsor right now to the channel. Maybe we can have them jumping onto these betting videos on a weekly basis, especially for these bigger events like the Players, the Masters coming up in a few weeks as well. So Mr. Justin Thomas is 20-1. He's dropped a little bit. And look, the form hasn't been elite lately, but it's still been good, right? He finished third at the Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, where he dominates, won there last year, dominates there basically every single year, 13th to the Waste Management. Okay, then I get it, right? He ends up missing the cut at the Genesis, and he didn't play well there, but he lost almost 6 strokes putting. He's not a fantastic putter. This is going to happen for Justin Thomas, and then what you end up getting for last week, or the last time that we saw him, actually, WGC Mexico, he gains almost 10 strokes on approach, 9.5 strokes on approach. He loses 6 strokes off the tee. He has not been good off the tee so far this year, only gaining strokes in one event on the PGA Tour, but I don't care about that this week. I told you I want approach, so Justin Thomas at 20-1 is our first bet this week. That is a strong number for one of the best iron players in the world. He ranks top 5 right now and borderline top 3 in iron play with your approach. That is your approach right now out of every single player in this field over his last 50 rounds. So give me Justin Thomas to start it off as our first bet, and now we will scroll down to our second bet. You can see some nice odds here. I really want to pull the trigger on Collin Morikawa, but he's already down to that Justin Thomas range right now, 22-1, 20-1. I don't think it's a terrible number. You want to bet him at 22-1? Be my guess at this point, but I'm only picking one of these guys in this range because I like a lot of guys in this next tier of golfers between, let's just say, 35, 45 numbers, and I'm going to get a couple of guys there instead of allocating my bankroll, my units to just getting, let's just say, one Collin Morikawa. I can get 2 guys a little bit lower down. That's personally how I'm building this card right now. Morikawa completely fine. He sets up well here. He's arguably, and I would say right now, over the last month, last year, maybe even the best irons player on the world right now on the planet. Hovland is slowly approaching that range. Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson certain weeks are definitely up there on any given week. But if we're talking about consistency over the last year, it is definitely, in my opinion, Collin Morikawa. So we can scroll down some more now. We can pass Hovland, who had a terrible weekend after having a nice start to his event, after honestly having a great last 5 rounds of golf dating back to that WGC. But yes, terrible last weekend. Jordan Spieth is now 30-1. That's too low of a number. You're getting, I think, a little bit of name value there, although he has finished 3 out of his last 4 events, gaining major strokes on approach and off the tee, which is something we haven't seen in a while out of Jordan Spieth. Very appealing there, so can't hate you for about that. All these guys are bettable to me. Obviously, Xander down here now, 24-1 on some sites. That 24 number on Xander is highly appealing. You usually don't see him cracking that far up there in this loaded of a field. But the guy that I want to talk about, and I'm seeing him at 35-1 right now. I got him at 35-1, but I'm seeing a 40-1 number on him right now in a couple of spots, and you can see it here as I zoom in on him, and that's going to be Mr. Tyrrell Hatton. You can see if I scroll across, I got him at this 35-1 number on DraftKings, but apparently, I didn't see this earlier, apparently there's 40-1s that are flopping out there right now, so I might have to go back and double hit it. That's unfortunate, if you will. Hit it with the double tap, sawed-off shotgun, bang, how you doing, bang. Take a cannoli or the gun, we're taking the gun and the motherfucking cannoli, but we got Hatton right now. I got him at 35-1. Here's the deal with Hatton, right? Last week, he was coming in one of the favorites in that field, obviously nowhere near the same type of field as you're getting this week compared to last week's Arnold Palmer, but I'll take Hatton right here. You're seeing him on DraftKings sites in the 8K range on DraftKings. It's a little bit too low. I would say a lot too low in my opinion right now, but Hatton, it's interesting. The irons are fine. The irons are what I'm looking for right now. He's performing fine, right? Even in a bad week last week, if you want to consider last week bad, had a really bad start to that week, lost 4.9 strokes putting, he still finishes 21st. This guy has a lot of outs to his game. He is normally a good putter. That was the first time he's lost strokes putting since August at the BMW on the PGA Tour. Obviously, he plays overseas a lot. He wins overseas a lot as well, twice in the last 6 months. Typically, where he will lose strokes is around the green. He will gain with the putter. Last week was the opposite. He actually gained almost 4 strokes around the green, and he lost almost 5 strokes with the putter. That stuff's going to flip back around. But the thing that stays consistent is off the tee game. Is fine. He's accurate. His irons are clicking. They are as hot as they have ever been. In this stretch right now, basically gaining strokes with his irons in like 10 straight events. Last couple events gaining 3.5, 4.6, and 3.1 strokes. Hatton at this 35-1 number, I like it. I like it a lot. If you can go get that 40-1 number out there right now, go ahead and snag that motherfucker. So right now, We got our first bet, 20-1 Justin Thomas. Second bet right now is Mr. Hatton, who we also had last week at a 20-1 number. I'll take Hatton at 35-1 as his odds creator in a much more difficult field. And if I'm being honest with you, I'd rather have Hatton in a more difficult field, the way that he kind of grinds into some of these victories. So that is our bet numero dos right now. Numero tres is also on the screen right now. Can you guess who it is? Is it right now Patrick Reed? Is it Daniel Berger? No. It is Tommy Fleetwood. Mr. Thomas Fleetwood is what you're getting here. So I got him at 50-1. Right now I'm scrolling across. 45-1 is the highlighted number. The highlighted numbers on odds checker are the best out there. I'm still fine with 45-1. I'm fine if he even goes down to 40-1, but based on there's being about 5 sites right now that have him at 45-1, shop your odds, use odds checker, link down below in the description. I should mention it's a free tool right now, right? So be sure to check it out. Tommy Fleetwood at 45-1. This is a bet that I like a lot. 50-1 if you can find it out there on any other books that you're potentially seeing. Maybe it gets back up to 50-1 on some books. I like this. I like this a whole lot. I mean, I tweeted out earlier this week that these irons that Tommy Fleetwood has been kind of teasing the last couple of weeks. Oh, they got me hot and bothered. They got me hot and bothered this year. We got to see him at the Masters. No real stats there in strokes gained data that we can see. So we don't know how he actually fared, but he finished top 20 overall. Then we didn't see him. Then we didn't see him for a while, right? We didn't see him for a while. RSM, he stops by. We see him overseas a lot, but he finally makes his debut on the WGC, finishes 44th overall. And he's flashing some iron play. You're flashing some iron play. And the reason why I'm saying this is Tommy Fleetwood, for basically all of October, for all of November, for all of August, he showed no irons. Like, literally did not gain strokes in any of those events. He was absolutely brutal, and that was a guy missing the cut every week, or finishing literally like 50th or 58th or 59th or dead fucking last after the cut. He was lost. He would blow up for a round, really, like every single Saturday after making the cut. He would just blow up. His irons would absolutely go away. But you're showing some form now, mister. WGC Mexico, 1.8 strokes gained on approach. We'll take that. We don't care about your off the tee play. Next week, Arnold Palmer right here. 10th overall. Ooh, what do you do with the irons, right? Off the tee, loses strokes. I don't really care. Putter's back to normal. That's just vintage Tommy Fleetwood. Around the green, vintage Tommy Fleetwood. The approach play, 4.7 strokes gained on the approach, 5.4 strokes tee to green. Dial that bad boy up. Ring the bell for you. That was the best we've seen out of Tommy Fleetwood since March of 2020. Over a year ago, the best tee to green play we've seen from him on the PGA Tour. At the Honda, he finished overall gaining 9 strokes. So boy, oh boy, Tommy Fleetwood, give me this 50-1 number that I got on him. Take the 45-1s that you can find out there on him, because Tommy Fleetwood, arguably, if this is the trend that he's going to get to, your approach play will be sticky. If his approach play stays sticky, he's going to be in a lot of fields, even loaded fields like this, slowly next WGC, the Masters, he's going to be in that 30-1 range, 35-1, even 40-1 at the very highest, but not 50 and 45-1 numbers. Get yourself some Tommy Fleetwoods if you want to tail that bet. So right now we got Justin Thomas 20-1. We got Mr. Hatton at 35-1. 40s are out there right now apparently. And then Tommy Fleetwood, I got a 50-1. 45s are out there. Let's get to our fourth bet right now. And we're sliding and we're rocking and we're rolling. Also, hey, hit the like, hit the subscribe. You might be listening on the audio version of this podcast. If you like what you get in here, take 2 seconds of your time. Subscribe to the podcast. We cover sports. We cover PGA. We cover NBA. We also cover the MMA and some other stuff going on. Obviously, the NFL, when that's more in season. We'll start to pick back up when it gets closer to the draft, free agency coming up, discuss more about NFL. But the biggest thing you can do is take 2 seconds of your time. You'll be entered into a chance just by taking about 2 seconds, honestly. I'll level it to you. It'll take literally like 15 seconds, more than 2, but 15, right? By the time I'm talking about this, go to Apple, leave a 5-star rating and review, say something nice about the show, and a way for me to contact you, and you get entered into a raffle to win $100 just free. That's it. If you're watching on the YouTube version, you can go ahead and do that as well. That kind of helps the algorithmic charts on the podcast version. So we'll give away $100 a week. Bang. Leave a way for me to contact you or reach out to somebody. So my fourth bet right now, he's not on the screen right now, so it's not Scotty Scheffler, not Jason Day, not Matthew Fitzpatrick, but it will be Mr. Paul Casey, who I have a 55-1 number on. Paul Casey's had some 55-1 numbers out there right now. There's a 55-1 if we scroll all the way up right now on Bet365 if you want to check that out. So Paul Casey is somebody that I like a lot right now because of what we're seeing. He's playing elite. Like, this is as good as we've seen Paul Casey play maybe ever. I mean, right? We haven't seen these wins out of Paul Casey in a very long time, but Paul Casey had $8,400 on DraftKings at this 55-1 number. If you get him at 50-1, I like it. Like, look, this is the whole point about shopping your lines. He's 33-1 on some sites right now, and he's basically 50-1 on most of them. He's 40-1 on DraftKings, but 50-1 on FanDuel. If you just take the extra second to use Odds Checker, and then you see that, he's 50-1 on FanDuel, you will win yourself an extra $100 if he wins this week. That is why it's so important. Eventually, you're going to win some bets, and if you get on a hot streak like we have here, winning 3 out of the last 5 weeks, when you're getting the better number, you're obviously loading up your bankroll much more to sustain your downturns. You need to be doing this. Even if you're a casual player, why are you leaving money on the table? Use sites like Odds Checker. Some of the odds on the screen right now, now. It's FanDuel and DraftKings to start it up, but there's even more if you scroll, right? There's a lot of sites to be looking at and shopping your odds. So even if you're like, I don't know if it's a site's legal in my state, there's a really good chance that there's going to be a decent amount that you can choose from. So let's get back to Paul Casey. I'm trying to stay here, save you some money, but if you don't want to save the money, you don't. But if you do, odds checker, check it out. So Mr. Paul Casey right now, he's playing some of the best golf of his career potentially. Overseas, we don't even have those stats for strokes gained, but he's finishing highly over there. So far this season, this 2021 year, the best start that we've seen out of a while from Paul Casey, an 8th at the American Express, a 5th at the AT&T, a 10th at the Arnold Palmer. What is changing with Paul Casey? Well, his irons are usually dialed in, and they are remaining dialed in. 6.5, 1.4, and 5 strokes gained on approach. Okay, the tee to green has been elite. This is the best stretch of tee to green play out of 3 events that I've found on Paul Casey, dating back to like the summer of 2019, and even that was close. He gained like 4 in a row on events with a 5+ strokes gained. Here, 9.6, 4.6, and 7.5 strokes gained tee to green. And the putter. The putter is something that for Paul Casey sometimes can just absolutely fall off a cliff, and it hasn't been lately. He's been gaining strokes. At the Arnold Palmer, he lost 0.3 strokes, so he's basically a net neutral with the putter. The around the green play, he's gaining strokes. Everywhere in Paul Casey's game right now is airtight. The off the tee thing is something that's kind of going to be fluky here and there. He'll gain a stroke, he'll lose a stroke, he'll usually be neutral with the field, but we don't care about that this week. This is not him playing at the WGC or the Genesis, where we actually didn't get to see his off the tee and see if it was actually an issue, right? We don't really care about that. We care about the approach play. We care that you can nail some putts and your putter's not broken like the Benny Ons of the world or the Hideki's of the world. No. Paul Casey right now lines up at 55 to 1, 50 to 1 on a lot of sites as a lovely bet. That is our 4th bet. Now let's take you to the bombs. Let's throw a grenade in there and blow this whole motherfucking thing up right now, as we're going to have to scroll down and find our guy. Look, Corey Connors, if you want to bet Corey Connors, it's a fine bet. There's 90 to 1s out there. You're going to find 80 to 1 in a lot of spots. Corey Connors looks like a lot of guys this week that are like around 100 to 1 to 125 or even 150 to 1. Some of those guys are like Henrik Norlander, Matthew Naismith. Just rely on the irons, hope they putt. Connors has been much more consistent with that putter and has much more fire irons in my opinion, but that's why he's a higher bet right now. Also coming off of a 3rd place last week. We can scroll down a little bit more. Max Homa is somebody, DraftKings right now has a 110 to 1 on him. I don't know if that's a promotional bet, but I might have to add Max Homa right now live on this 110 to 1 because Max Homa is somebody that we ended up winning on when he won a couple of weeks back in California, in Los Angeles area. So Max Homa is somebody that continues to fire, continues to finish like top 15, top 10 every single week, continues to have good iron play, good tee to green, good ball stroke. Everything for Max Homa right now is clicking. And he just showed the guts to win at the Genesis, a loaded field. Not as loaded as this, but still a loaded field. So Homa, I don't have him bet right now, but I saw that 110 number. I thought he was at like 70, 60 to 1 is where I was seeing him. There's a 110 out there. There's a 90 out there. That's why I use the comparison tools. So Homa, that number was not up there earlier. So Homa at 110, we're going to add it. Fuck it, we're going to add it. Lanto's down there. You can find him in some spots right now, around 100, 125. I'd rather have Homa. I think they're a different caliber of player just right now, in my opinion. Not majorly off. Russell Henley is another bomb that I think you can lean to. Chris Kirk playing better. But let's get to the guy that I like to get to right now. And the bomb that I've already placed a bet on this week was 125 to 1 on Mr. Sam Burns. Apparently, there's now a promotional bet at 160 to 1 if you can go and find that. Sam Burns was the guy that everybody wanted to play last week, whether it was in the betting markets, in a lesser loaded field, in a lower number on him because of that, whether it was in the DraftKings spot, and he ends up missing the cut. But his game wasn't terrible. Sam Burns is as consistent as it gets when you're trying to find guys, especially in this range. Consistency for Sam Burns. First missed cut since the American Express. He made 4 straight made cuts before that. He's not going to go out there every single week and make the cut, but he's not blowing up, right? He's not blowing up when he misses the cut. At the American Express, he gained almost 5 strokes tee to green and then just barely misses the cut. At the Arnold Palmer, he was basically net neutral, maybe losing around a stroke, a half a stroke in most spots, but he just didn't do enough to score and make the cut. He wasn't absolutely horrific. So now you get Sam Burns dropping a lot. 125 to 1 right now is where I got him on DraftKings. Sam Burns, if you just want to look at the form right now on him, this past week, he misses the cut at the Arnold Palmer, but the approach play was clicking before that, gaining in 3 straight events. The putter is always going to be hot for this guy. He gains basically every single week with the putter. And it's just talking about that combination right now of a guy with ball striking, not just the approach play. Honestly, arguably, his off-the-tee play is better, and then he has the short game. Everything lines up for this guy. It really does. And now you're getting the number to crater. Like, it's cratering below guys like Emmanuel Grillo and Ricky Fowler at this point, right? His number is getting lower than them. If we scroll up, guys like Justin Rose, I guess there's win equity there. Guys like Kevin Na, Molinari, Harris English, Lee Westwood. Like, there's some guys right now whose numbers are much higher than Sam Burns. And I get it. Lee Westwood was contending last week. There's some guys like Kevin Na that have maybe a little bit more win upside just in terms of overall boom or bust. But still, 125 to 160 to 1. After everybody wanted to play him last week, and now 1 week's difference, nobody wants to play him. I'll go back to Sam Burns in all formats this week, DFS and the betting markets. So that's where I'm at. Those are my 5 bets, and I might have to add. Look, normally, you might be watching this for the first time. Normally, I place like 4 bets at most, but man, there's so many good numbers out there this week that you're available. You're available to just open up your bankroll if you want to be putting some. Even if you just want to put $10 on 125 to 1 guy, right? You win yourself $1,200, whatever it might be. So I think I'm going to add Max Homa to my final betting card. I post my betting cards on Twitter normally, so I already put the early interest that I have. I'll probably add Max Max Homa to that at 110 to 1. And then I'll look at some top 20 odds right now. Probably not, maybe some top 10s, but more than likely top 20 odds on maybe one or two longer shot guys, maybe like a Sam Burns, find his top 20, maybe even a Max Homa, Lalanto, some other guys that I'd like to get some exposure to, a Cameron Tringali, another guy who fits that mold of being a little bit more consistent than a Henrik Norlander and a Matthew Naismith, not as consistent as a Corey Connors, but lately just making cuts. He's been up there. So Tringali, another guy I'll look at for some top 20 odds. You can see Tringali's outrights right now on the screen, 125 to 1 right now in most spots for Tringali. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the betting breakdown for your golf betting picks 2021, the Players Championship 2021, brought to you by Odds Checker and your boy right here, Salvatore Joseph Vetri. How you doing right now? Like, subscribe before you go. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the link down below to get that lovely promotion. If Dustin Johnson makes one birdie, you get yourself a nice $100 Rooskies at the very minimum on Odds Checker. So check it out down below in the description. Like, subscribe before you go. Appreciate you all a ton. Check out the tools on Patreon. If you're playing any DFS this weekend, use that lineup optimizer. Use that ownership and projections. It will increase your chances of winning dramatically. You all rock, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, gang, and enjoy the rest of your day. Best of luck on the bets this weekend. And let me know if you win any money.